NAVI have qualified themselves for the World Championship this year, and to celebrate this achievement I will share some of their bases from the last qualifier with you guys out there. Also, CWL starts tomorrow, so this is just a great opportunity for you and your clan to get yourself some crazy good bases to set you up for the Clan War League. With that, hello and welcome to yet another video. My name is Gum and you like free bases, I like free bases, so that's why in this video we once again have some free bases. Starting off with this one here from Vibes, which was used of course by NAVI within this qualifier, defended perfectly against Melsim, against some Root Riders. And you can already see it is so incredibly hard to get rid of this core. This core is just so incredibly neat. It's just so ugly. With these two ricochet cannons, with both of those poison towers, as well as just the surrounding damage around that. And just due to these gold storages right here, due to the clan castle, due to these elixir collectors, you just can't really get your world champion into that core of the base because, well, you know, 90% of the attacks currently within the pro meta are unfortunately World Champion walks, or just not any pro meta but in Clash of Clans in general. And to make those work in combination with either Root Riders or in combination with Dragons, you need to have a plan for the core, which is just so incredibly hard on this base because if you just go in from any side with your world champion, like for example you want to go into any of these fire spitters, like basically every single entry there is for the world champion walk just makes it so incredibly hard to get in the core of the base. Of course you have to entry down the bottom into the town hall and you go straight into the town hall, and then after that you have to make so many buildings invisible for your royal champion to go inside of the middle of the base. And also you just have such a stacked up compartment with all of these giant bombs. Also, most likely your world champion will walk to the left hand side due to all of this Tesla, and it will trigger even more giant bombs. On the right side you would probably not go in because it just looks so baited with that giga bomb. And also if you go in like from the 3 o'clock side or in from the 2 or 10 o'clock side into any of the scatter shots, it is just also so incredibly hard to funnel your world champion into the middle of the base, so the core of the base with all the damage will just always be left standing, and 2 poison towers in combination with 2 multi-inferno towers will just fry dragons, and both of those ricochet cannons will do a lot of work against Root Riders. So that's already the 2 most common strategies of the board, which will most likely gather you a ton of defenses in the Clan War League or in Legends League or just anywhere else. Next on the list is this box base, also from Vibes, and you can instantly see the 2 Royal Champion baits there are on this base. Most people went in either from the right hand side to make their way to the monolith, and then from the monolith towards the core, or from the left hand side to get rid of the town hall. And those 2 corners are just completely baited with so many giant bombs. The left hand side also has the tornado trap, and also on this base you can see it is so hard to get rid of that core if you use a world champion walk, because if you want to do a world champion walk for the core of the base, you somehow have to make your way to the fire spitter. And from the right hand side, or like from the 3 o'clock side as well as from the 6 o'clock side, it is basically impossible to make your way through the fire spitter because the distance from the scatter shot to like the air sweeper is just so incredibly large. So the only way you have is to go in from the 12 o'clock side or from the left hand side to get your way to the spell tower, and from the spell tower to the fire spitter and then to the core, where the left hand side is of course completely baited with the NATO trap and so many of those giant bombs. And basically just also the world champion pathing is so incredibly unpredictable because, well, also you have all of these buildings on the left hand side that are also incredibly close, and you still have to worry about traps being there because, well, if you take a look at this, where would you expect the traps? Most of the people would say, okay, there are probably a lot of Tesla in front of the multi-target Inferno Tower, which already makes this entry from the 12 o'clock a little bit more scary. But of course, all of these traps are either on the right hand side and on the bottom side, just to also screw up some world champion pathings, because if you have it in scout view, you can, and you will see this base and you will think, okay, if I like get rid of those bomb towers or like one of those bomb towers, I can easily send in my world champion for the multi-archer towers as well as those multi-inferno towers, where I will just, or those two multi-archer towers and the multi-inferno tower, which is just easy value with like a few invisibility spells, which would set you up for an insane Root Rider plan. But of course, we have all of those Tesla there on the right hand side as well as on the left hand side, so your world champion will need way more spells or way more funnel troops to get the value you want to get. And if you use like 6 invisibility spells to take out these 3 buildings, it is already not enough value, because this monolith, you don't really have enough overgrowth spells to constantly overgrowth this monolith, and this monolith is just going to do so much work then, and it's just going to screw up every single Root Rider plan. So most people will probably try to go in after this Inferno Tower, and they will at most bring 4 invisibility spells. At most 4 invisibility spells, and 4 invisibility spells is not really going to be enough, and if they take more into the attack, this monolith is just going to screw you up. So if you don't like being attacked by Root Riders, or just are not having much success defending Root Riders, this is for sure a base I can recommend you trying out, and hopefully it will have a lot of success for you. Of course, to all of these bases, the base links are in the description. And the recommended clan castle on both the first base as well as this base would be 1 furnace, 2 ice golems and rest archers. And next up is this box base from the man, the myth, the legend, Gaku. And you can see a pattern on any of these bases. Once again, we have 2 very strong isolated defenses in the core of the base, which is just what you have to do to defend world champion charges, because it is so incredibly hard to get. It's not impossible. I want to rule it out. It's not impossible to get rid of these 2 defenses in the middle of the base. It is just incredibly hard and incredibly expensive, because you need like 2 and maybe 3 invisibility spells just to funnel your world champion into the core of the base. It is just so incredibly unpredictable what your RC is going to do, and that just makes it so incredibly good to have 2 isolated, or well, a few isolated defenses in the middle of the base that are just generally good against both dragons and Root Riders, because with that you have already most of the times defended most of the attacks and most of the approaches people will do. On this base, what you can expect is most likely a dragon attack with like a Royal Champion walk from the 12 o'clock side, where you will go after the Town Hall, because most likely you're not going to go in from the right hand side, because you have the Giga Bomb right there, and the Giga Bomb just generally looks scary. It looks baited, so you're going in from the 12 o'clock side, which is actually going to be the baited side, with like 2 of those giant bombs as well as like a few small bombs. That is going to get rid of that fox. If like the Town Hall shoots once on top of your world champion, which is most likely going to happen, that poison damage is going to get rid of the Spirit Fox. And then once again, we also have the Tornado Trap next to the Town Hall, so you just need way more invisibility spells just to get that Town Hall. And if your World Champion walk only gets like the 12 o'clock corner in combination with the Town Hall, it is just way too much left standing of this base. You still have like 1 fire spitter on the back end, you have like a multi-archer tower, 3 multi-archer towers actually, multi-inferno tower, you still have this core defenses, and you still also have 2 multi-inferno towers, as well as a scatter shot in the back end, as well as of course 2 of this, well, one of this air targeting expos, which is just way too much. Even if you bring like such a giant army of dragons, they are not going to do enough to get rid of the remaining of the base. So once again, this is a great base which is just basically built on limiting the amount of value the World Champion walk gets, so the remaining army just doesn't get the rest of the base, which is basically just exactly what you want. Most of the times it is going to be a high percent fail. It is incredibly hard to defend like a player on 80% or 70%, and you're not likely going to see this, but still like a 90 to 95 or maybe also a 97% fail is still a fail. And that 97% fail or that 97% defense can for sure be the game changer. Also, on this base as well as the next base from Gaku, we're once again going to use the 1 Furnace, 2 Ice Golems and Rest Archers to see, which is just a great all-rounder to see against most strategies. And here we have yet another base from Gaku, and this time we actually have an anti-2-star base with an isolated town hall, and also you can see a very isolated monolith. This monolith is just generally so incredibly hard to reach if you like using Root Riders or using a World Champion walk. It is just so incredibly, you would need so many rocket loons just to funnel away all of these defenses to get your World Champion towards this monolith. And after this monolith, it's just so incredibly hard to get more value out of your World Champion, because you either have to get rid of one of those corners and then make your way to one of the scatter shots, and generally you just don't have enough invisibility spells to get all that value you want. So of course, the 2 entries where you can get a lot of value with the World Champion walk would be the right hand side on 3 o'clock, or the 6 o'clock side on the bottom side. And you can see all of those traps are just stacked there. On the 6 o'clock side, you have all of those giant bombs in combination with the tornado trap, and on the right hand side you have all of those giant bombs in combination with the giga bomb, which is just such an incredibly ugly setup. So most likely people on this base are going to try to go in with like a fireball attack strategy with like a Grand Warden chart, where they will use the Warden to make their way from the right hand side towards the town hall. And that's exactly where all of these red air bombs come in, which are not only placed against a Grand Warden charge but also against a Root Rider plan. So if somebody, for example, were to go in with a small World Champion walk from the 12 o'clock side, maybe to go after the scatter shot and take care of the scatter shot, and then go in from the right hand side with Root Riders, you just have all of those red air bombs on the right hand side will just instantly get rid of your red air bombs. And Root Riders without the protection from the healers are just screwed. If you lose your healers within the attack, or like within the middle of the attack or within the start of the attack with Root Riders, the attack is over in an instant, because Root Riders are just desperate for that healing, and without healers they are absolutely nothing. So if you want to see some funny baits on your base and want to see some incredibly nice defense that are incredibly fun to watch, then this is for sure a base you can copy. And also if you want to force like some 1-stars against players that are not so good at the game, this base can for sure do the work, because the town hall is so incredibly isolated and hard to reach. If they lose their army early on, then the town hall is going to left standing, getting you that 1-star defense, which is for sure going to win you that CWL war. One thing you do have to watch out for on this base, if you copy it, most of the times the gear tower is going to be on long range, which is of course not what you want. You want to have it on short range. So if you copy this base and it is a long range, please keep an eye out for that and change that as soon as possible. Next on the list is this base from Smith, and this is the only base where we are not going to use the 1 Furnace 2 Ice Golem CC, but on this base we're going to use a 1 Furnace 4 Rocket Loon CC with a few goblins to fill up. And this base got so many defenses in the qualifier against Root Riders, and not only defenses but also low percent defenses. So for pro players, like anything under 90% is a very strong defense, or like a low percent defense. And this base got an 81% defense against Root Riders, as well as another 75% defense against Root Riders, and to top it off, another 80% defense against Root Riders, which is just an insane performance. And this base, if we just take a look at scout mode, it is just such an ugly layout. It is not something you see very common. You just have the very interesting setup where all of these key defenses are in isolated compartments. So you have like all of these multi-inferno towers are in compartments on their own, or like with just an expo in there, just incredibly isolated. Then you have this isolated core with the crusher mortar as well as with the monolith. You have those scattered shots on their own, and just like any of those key defenses are completely on their own. And if you go in from the town hall, if you go into the town hall with your root biters or into the town hall with dragons, it is just clumped up with so many seeking air mines, which are going to get rid of your dragons, or well, of the attacking dragons or the healers. And as I said already on the last base, root biters without healers are absolutely nothing. So that's how you can force those incredibly low percent defenses, because like anything below 80% is just such an incredibly defense, because I think every one of you out there knows how strong root biters are and how hard it is to defend root biters. So if you can defend a pro player on 80% with this base, then I think in normal clan wars as well as in clan war league, it is going to have a lot of success for you. Once again, congratulations to NAVI for qualifying to the World Championship. I'm really looking forward to meeting you guys out there in Atlanta. I of course will be there once again. And also, if some of you guys are in Atlanta, don't be shy to say hi to me. I would love to meet some of you guys. With that, I would say see you guys soon with the next video. Until then, see ya and bye bye.